Alright, let's design a magic system for my open world game Craven. From the beginning, I knew I wanted players to be able to kind of make their own spells. And you would do this by chaining a bunch of events and modifiers to those events. Kinda like in Noita. So let's say if you have a bolt event, it's gonna fire a little magic bolt that's gonna do a little bit of damage. If before that you put a fire modifier, that bolt is gonna set enemies on fire. And if, let's say, we have this configuration, a fire modifier, a bolt event, an empty slot, and then a spread event, it's going to apply the fire modifier, and then fire a bolt with the fire modifier, and after some delay, it's going to spread the bolts into, say, 3. And lore-wise, these spells are cast by drawing circular glyphs, which you channel your mana into with intent. These represent the body, soul, and mind respectively. You can think of them as the glyphs being an engine, mana being the fuel you put in it, and intent being the ignition mechanism. And having glyphs be circular gave me an idea. Since they're like cycles, what if we let trailing modifiers at the end of a glyph affect the next casts? So let's say if we have this configuration of a fire modifier and then a bolt event, from the player's perspective, when they cast a spell, there's going to be a small delay, and then it's going to fire a firebolt. But if those two are flipped, instead what the player is going to see is when they cast a spell, it's going to fire a regular bolt. The difference is any subsequent spell casts are going to immediately fire a firebolt. I thought this could make for some cool puzzles. And yeah, here's a prototype that I made for this. The demo spell that you're probably seeing on screen right now is composed of a speed modifier, and then a bolt event, and then another bolt event. Under the hood, I used the strategy pattern to keep the system flexible. And what this allows me to do is, if I want to add more modifiers or more events, I could just extend these rune event and rune modifier classes. So yeah, going back to the design, I settled on this 3-part system of glyphs, mana, and intent because I thought it would be more interesting. And as a wise man once said, a good idea is an idea that sparks more ideas. And immediately we can start asking questions like, what if there's a character that managed to max out only one of those aspects? How would it affect their dynamics with other characters or the world? Or what if there was a character that was extremely strong despite being weak in all of the stats? How could such a character even exist? What would be the source of their power? Or what if that character actually wasn't strong? How would such a weak character still exist despite its weakness and not get bodied by absolutely everyone? And how could they find meaning and purpose in continuing to live despite their weakness? Or more generally, who created the system and for what reasons? How could we make the system not completely overpowered? Or what could be some loopholes, implications, or emergent behavior of it, and how could they be exploited? Or even, what if what I talked about in this video is just a product of some grander power system? That's just a few questions that I could come up with. Anyways, the inner workings of the magic system is mostly fleshed out now, and I think all that's left to do is just content creation. Creating more spells, more events and modifiers, and actually implementing them in-game. Which is easier said than done. I find it really fun and engaging to create these kinds of systems, but when it comes to actually creating more content, I find that I struggle a little bit, so I think that's something I want to work on in the long term. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. See you next time.